Hello. Okay, let's talk about cars for a second. What are cars? CARS is an acronym and it stands for Controlled Articulate Rotations. Controlled Articulate Rotations. So the aspect is controlled, meaning slow, consciously knowing what you're doing. Articulate means one specific area of your body. Mainly, it's going to be the joints plus the spine and the shoulder blades. And rotations means that most of our joints are rotational joints first. So there's a linear movement pattern, for example, flexion, abduction, adduction. Those are linear movement patterns, but there's also stuff like internal and external rotation of the shoulder or the hip, or rotation of the knee and the elbow and the wrist. So we focus on rotation first for most of the joints. Yeah, controlled articulate rotations. This is the idea of the cars. You can use them for various different things in your movement practice or in your training practice, depending on the intensity you do them with. And with intensity, I mean um, the resistance you move through with them and the full body tension you have while you do them in one specific joint. So if you look at a intensity from, and I mean intensity with full body tension and resistance in the movement. So if you have 0 with no resistance and 100 to you cannot move or you barely can move your arm because you have a high resistance, normally you can do that well with somebody or something to put resistance into. Um, then we have a scale from 0 to 100. So if you look at the intensity from 0 to, let's say, 5 to 10%, this is the intensity we normally would use for rehabilitation. So if you come of an injury, if you come of an operation, if you come of something that is hindering your range of movement, it's hindering your mobility, it's hindering your movement in general, that's where you want to move. It's really about getting your body and your nervous system back into the movements itself. It's not about big ranges of motion. It's not about high intensity. It's not about training. It's really about getting your body back into the movement and that specific area, getting used to moving again, and especially your nervous system getting used to requiring or needing this range of motion that you didn't have because of the injury, because of the operation whatsoever. 0 to around 10%. If you look at movement maintenance, range of motion maintenance, you would talk about like 10 to 30% intensity, meaning when you get up in the morning and you just want to move your body a little bit, this is like a low resistance movement. You don't really pay attention to a lot of compensations in your body. You don't have like a high um, resistance. You don't put a lot of tension into it. It's more so just the maintenance of the ranges of motion that are available to you. You try not to extend them, you try not to train them, you're just trying to save them in your body. This is like 10 to 30% resistance. Um, you can do this really well as a morning flow or just to remember your nervous system, what ranges of motion are available. Yeah. If you look at the resistance from around 30 to 50 to 60%, or maybe even 70%, we talk about a proper warm up. Yeah, a good warm up to get your body ready for work. Meaning, you, in the repetitions of the cars, in the rounds of your cars, you want to increase the resistance, you want to increase the range of motion that you're using to a point where it doesn't feel like it's super comfortable, but it's also not overstimulating your nervous system. So that's a small, it might be a hard window to find at first, but like if you do them properly, you think about like I said, 30 to 70% resistance to warm up your body, to get your body parts ready for actual training, for movement, for usage. So your nervous system is like, okay, I got to use them in a second. Or they're just, you feel the blood rushing through, you feel the blood, like the body parts warming up, you feel more loose, you feel more activated. Um, that's 30 to 70%. 70% and upwards to 100%, you normally say 75 to 80% to 100%, is nervous system training. This is where you recruit the most muscle fibers, and your nervous system is the most activated to create new synapses and new uh, pathways, neurological pathways in your brain, which you need in order to unlock new ranges of motion or more control and more stability. This is an intense workout. So, this is not warming up, this is like an intense workout. It really helps if you get something like a yoga block or some black roll balls, a mobility stick, stuff like that, where you can focus on putting this intensity into. So when you grab a yoga block, you can really squeeze that yoga block to have a physical feedback, so you know how high your intensity is. You can squeeze it in between your legs when you're standing. So you also focus on putting the tension into your legs and not only the body part that you're using. Remember, it's about full body tension, 100%. So your nervous system is really firing on all cylinders. And normally, one rep of the car that you're doing, the specific car like shoulder or hip, is enough in that intensity. Okay? So just to repeat it, 0 to 10% rehabilitation, 10 to around 30% range of motion maintenance, 30 to around 50 to 70% as a proper warm up, and everything above 70% to 100% is nervous system focused intense training. Why is the last part so nervous system focused? In that intensity, that's where, like I said, you recruit the most. The nervous system starts to work the most. The higher the resistance in your body, the more the nervous system understands that it needs to recruit muscle fibers, it needs to unlock new ranges of motion in order to serve you with the stuff that you need in order to fulfill or execute the exercise. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. So, yeah, imagine you're trying to lift a 100 pound yoga block, 100 kg yoga block from the ground with one hand. This is going to be 100% resistance because you're probably not going to be able to. So, your nervous system, you're still going to try, but your nervous system understands with the height of the resistance, I need more muscle fibers, I need more strength in my grip, in my arm, and my shoulder, than when you would lift, for example, 20 kg yoga block off the ground, which is also really, really heavy. Yeah. So that's kind of the idea behind it. In general, for every exercise, pain free ranges of motion, it's always about pain free training. That does not mean discomfort free, it does not mean muscle pain from training free. That's not the point. It just means pinches. If you come off of an injury, don't do ranges of motion that are hurtful, that strain your body parts more, because then you worsen it again. Okay? Movement is really good for prehab because it's anti inflammatory. Muscles want to be used, muscles want to be in their function that they're there for, and muscles are there for movement. So we want to move our muscles. Okay? And we need our nervous system to understand what functions we actually need. And that's why we move them. And that's why cars are really helpful.